Good morning, Aurora. I'm Felicia Thomas Williams, and we're back again this morning. I am the founder of CocoSolace.com, and I'm here with
Lynda White with Dance View Studio.
And, you know, we couldn't let September get away from us without talking about Childhood Obesity Awareness Month. And this is such an important conversation that we're going to have today, because this hits very close to home with us, because it is so important as parents, as caregivers, as advocates, that we really truly understand the risks, the causes, and the impact that this has on all of us. And we just wanted to kind of go there and talk about it today. So I'm going to open with this. And I wanted to pull this statistic up from the Centers for Disease Control when it comes to the epidemic of childhood obesity. And here it is. It's estimated that 19.7% of children and adolescents aged between 2 and 19 in the United States were obese in 2017 through 2020. This translates to approximately 14.7 million individuals dealing with this disease.
I got the goosebumps on that one. That's crazy. And to know it's the young as 2 years old, that's even scarier.
Yeah, and you know, I want to take it from this lens as I think about it when I think back about my childhood and growing up. And let me start with saying it. I don't want to discount that genetics does play a part of obesity, right?
Yes.
But I think it is important to mention that as a child, we learn our habits from our parents. We learn them from our parents, our caregivers, our guardians, the people in our lives that we model from, right? But I think it's also important, and I want to be very careful in what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
But it's also about, we learn from them, right? We learn from them. We get the information from them, as well as the food choices that are given to us. And I think back when I was a child, and we're going to start here. When I was young, the biggest thing in my family was about making a dollar. You know, I'm providing for my children. You're going to eat what's on the table.
Yes.
Period. I turned out fine.
Same.
I turned out fine. I ate whatever it was. But the biggest thing I want to talk about with our parents is that we lack a lot of the education when it comes to understanding food choices and things of that nature. When it comes to what am I giving my children? When I was a kid, what did I eat? I mean, I'm just going to keep it real. It was a lot of canned stuff, pork and beans and hot dogs, boxed macaroni and cheese, SpaghettiOs. We loved it, and it was fine. Yeah.
Back then, food was a little bit more, how you say this? I wouldn't say healthier, but a little bit cleaner, as in today's food. That's
Yes.
That's my perception on that. That nowadays our food is way more contaminated.
Absolutely.
We don't, like you said, the education part, the knowledge of a parent. What are we giving our kids?
Yeah.
That's when it gives to, like, okay, what's the smarter choices now? What's going to be better instead of, I can't say any brand, a sugary drink. Instead of a sugary drink, let's do some lemon water with some honey in it. You know, it's all the choices that we make. Like you said, our parents, we grow up with our parents teaching us and what we see, their habits too.
Absolutely. And I'll just take a spin from that on the food landscape today is a lot more toxic than ever before. And I think it is really, really important that we understand, as I said before, our kids learn from us, and this carries into their adulthood. This is something that impacts generations and generations and generations in their lineage. And I think it is absolutely important that we start to educate them as young as possible. And one of the things I think we can do, if we start taking it from the nutrition standpoint alone, right, is looking at ingredients. I think understanding the ingredients of the food is so incredibly important from a parental standpoint. What is it that my kid likes all the time? What's in this product that I'm feeding them? And this is not about passing blame. This is not where we're sitting from, right? Because I think it's so important. We want our kids to be happy. We want our kids to enjoy whatever these things are that they have, these treats. We want to reward them.
We want them to be happy.
We want to reward them. And a lot of times, let's be transparent. A lot of the times it's like your kid is probably having a fit for this thing, and it's like, just give it to them. But we don't really truly understand what is it that we're giving to them.
That is the story of my life with my little one. You're hitting it.
And then the other thing is the correlation between the stuff that our kids are eating and how does it directly impact them right after that. Is there a change in behavior? Are they climbing the walls? Are they able to, is it impeding their learning capacity? I don't think people really truly understand how loaded it is when it comes to the food, and that, and I'm going to say it, that a lot of this is done by design. It is intentionally done to keep us craving, wanting, our brain desiring and having this calmness that's coming from the carbohydrates and the sugar. It is intentionally done from a food company manufacturing standpoint because they want the sales. So I think it is important for us as parents, as advocates, as guardians to understand this and to not fall into the web of the lies that they present to us. Right, because it's out of convenience as well.
And we're on the go. Let's be real. As parents, we're on the go. And it's, okay, let me just do it just one time. Let me just give him this fruit snack at 8 a.m. in the morning that he's crying for one time. But I'm like, no. Oh, no.
Well, and this is the thing, okay? I think parents can decide what it is that they want to do for their children, right? It is totally your prerogative what you want to feed your kids. But just start to question some of those things. Am I giving this to them every day?
Yes.
Is this 3 times a day? Several times a week? How are
mindful,
my kids?
But you have to tell, of course, as a parent, you have to go through all types of explanation and details on why, right? Why? Okay, Mom, why can't I have that? Well, you can't because of, let's look at the ingredients. That's the challenge because they don't understand yet.
Correct.
But when you start there, that's when it starts starts branding in their head.
Yeah.
So now, like with my son, I'm teaching him on ingredients. So now when we go to the grocery store, I tell him protein is key. Especially for especially kids growing up, protein is so critical in their diet throughout the day, and because they're growing and developing. So he's always looking at how many grams of protein. Every time we go everywhere, I'm like, oh gosh, I did that. So now that's happening. Now it's like, oh my gosh, this kid is reminding me, Mom, that egg has 6 grams of protein. Guess how many eggs I ate? 3. So guess how much, it's like, oh my gosh, yes, oh, it's working. Yeah. It is frustrating, and we're always, as moms, we're always on the go, but that little bit of knowledge can carry on.
Yes.
So as he gets as a teen, he'll remember that. And
Absolutely.
And when he grows up,
Absolutely.
gets married, now he's going to reciprocate that to his children. That's where we need to change that. I would love to see that change where parents are getting more knowledge of the food they give their kids.
Absolutely.
And
I think it's important to, this is not about perfection, right? We're not suggesting that, everything you get that our kids want, that we're just saying, no, you're not going to get that. And you're going to have this. Too. But it's like, whenever there is an opportunity to introduce more fruit, whenever there's an opportunity for you to actually sit down and learn more about some of the healthier brands that are on the market that are really advocating for no added sugar, and you actually believe that because you're looking at the label and you're saying, okay, you know what? I see that there's less ingredients. There's 5 ingredients or less. These are things that I know I'm going to find in a store, in a supermarket, on a shelf. It is not a science experiment that has 15 things. I don't even know what half of these things are. It's got all these red dyes. It's all this artificial stuff that is directly, and this is linked to certain disabilities and disorders and ADHD and the spectrum. And I can tell you, after doing a substantial amount of research on my own, because my nephew is on the spectrum, and understanding that, he eats a lot of, it's a lot of things that he eats that I'm probably not necessarily in agreement with, but we're working on him. This is a process that we're working through, to help introduce other things into the diet that he's not, necessarily, you may not necessarily like the taste of, but we try to work it in as we can.
Yes,
okay, yeah,
baby steps.
Exactly. If I know you want the Snicker
Especially
bar.
the youngins.
Okay, well, you know what? And how about we give you the strawberries and we give you a nice mixture of fruit, and maybe sometimes it's got the extra stuff on it that that they kind of enjoy, like maybe the Ready Whip or whatever the toppings. But I recognize, and I know people are going to be like, well, it's easier for you to say, and I get it, because we don't necessarily have the time to do these things when we're balancing so much with career, job, children, and spouses, and trying to make a household. I don't want to get away from the fact that these are all relevant things that are happening. But I also think that we have to do life. And when I say that, things to me that are non-negotiables, and I'm going to stand on it, is meal planning and preparing. And I get it. There has to be a time at some point in the weekend.
Time management.
Where you say, okay, you know what, maybe I'm slicing more fruit. I'm creating the little fruit bowls, and I'm doing little things like that because I want to make sure that they have extra. Maybe they do have the treats, but they just don't have them every day. Or I'm more in control with the things that I'm purchasing, that the ingredients are something that I'm aligned with. And I think that is the most important thing in my mind of how we start to get in front of this, is by understanding what it is that I'm feeding my kid.
Yeah. I totally agree with this.
And the other thing that I'll say is this, because education is number one. That's the paramount for me, is when you, as my mom says, when you know better, you do better.
Yes.
You can make better choices. But then the other thing that I think is important for us to tackle is resources. Financial resources. Do I have the money to take this on? I mean, everybody, listen, we don't want to talk about inflation and all the things that is happening that's keeping us away from being able to do the things that we want, but we do the things that we want. Let's be clear. With taking that into consideration, we do still do things that we really want to do. But then think, like you said earlier, about how food has changed somewhat from when we were children to where we are now. Look at how many different grocery chains are now getting on the bandwagon.
Yeah. And
they're starting to bring more healthier options in the store. Aldi's is an amazing example. This is where, I don't know about y'all, but this is where we shopped. Aldi's was the place when I was growing up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and it was, I'm having.
Aldi's is up here. Florida's Publix. So
I'm having a flashback on the oatmeal cream pies. Ooh, when I tell you I love them.
Oh my gosh, the Little Debbie's.
Oh.
And I have something to say about Little Debbie's. So that's back in the day. Okay, that's back in our day, right? They tasted way better than now.
Oh,
if you guys haven't noticed the quality of, I shouldn't even have said that, but but it is a different taste. It's a different taste because of the ingredients have changed over the years, where it's a little bit more toxic than usual.
Yes, yes, yes,
but
yes.
It is. as a parent, I think it's critical at this point.
Absolutely.
It's critical at this point what you feed your kids. Even if it takes a couple of minutes to look it up. It's so worth it because you don't realize how much it affects their daily. And that's coming from somebody, a parent with a child with a good amount of ADHD. That's the way I should say.
Yeah.
I monitor it. I try to monitor. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. But I'm trying to be mindful on what he eats and try to remember, even I try to write it down what he ate that day, what did it affect him throughout the day.
Yeah.
If I got a phone call, you're not eating that again. You know,
Yeah.
If I didn't receive a phone call, okay, we're eating that every day, you know?
Yeah. And I just want to stress that again, that it really comes down to you as a parent and the decisions you want to make for your
Yes.
children and what's best. But we just want to encourage you.
And it's not easy.
No, and
It's
but
not easy.
it's really about encouraging you to really get a better understanding of what it is that my kids are eating. And you know what? We Google so much, everything else. We chat GPT in and all of that. How about you take a copy of that label and chat GPT that?
Yeah, yes.
And say,
that
tell me
is-
everything in there, and what is the downwritten impact of me eating this and or my children and or my family? What does that do for me with eating that consistently every day, 3 times a day for a year?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real with what's going on. But the other thing I wanted to talk about and pivot slightly here on the conversation about this, personal story, myself, I struggled with childhood obesity, okay? That followed me. And, you know, we heard oh, she's just chubby. Oh, it's little baby weight.
Oh.
The baby fat.
The
It ain't baby fat when it's the
famous-
now, listen, when it has now followed you to 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, 25, 27.
It's not baby
That's not baby
anymore.
weight no more.
It's not baby.
That's not that's not
grown
that
now.
anymore. But on a serious note, I want to make sure people understand the impact of lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem, the impact of mental health. All of this matters when you think about a kid that's heavier, growing up, being in a school. Kids are mean. This is you know, and they have to deal with a lot of that, and that stuff carries into adulthood.
All the way into
you know, then
adulthood.
we're talking about I'm now falling into the pre-diabetic, which that was me. Pre-diabetic, high blood pressure, the hypertension, all of these things started coming as a result, and it's just getting younger and younger. And you ask the question of why is this happening? Why are these things happening? And really, it starts to come down to the sugar. And
That's all
I
it
was
comes
really
down to.
addicted to sugar.
Yeah.
And the higher insulin in the body for children just as well as adults, that is so important. And I think just as parents, we need to just really understand it, and understanding the different foods that can cause the impact, and starting to understand from a sugar standpoint how many different aliases a sugar has. The name. They lie on these packages all the time. Oh, it's sugar-free. Turn it on the back. Tapioca, syrup, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There are literally 60 different names for sugar.
Yes.
And we have
They
to
cover it up.
understand how they sneak
Yes.
that crap into our food. And then it's like, oh, but they said on the front, you can't believe that.
Of course, it says
That's
that on the
marketing.
front.
Th're going to get you to buy it.
Yes. They want you
So,
to buy it. They
I
want
mean-
you, well, let's be real. It's with the number that you stated at the beginning.
19.7% equates to 14.7 million.
14.7 million kids all around the world
Yes, ma'am.
from 2 years old to 19 years old. That's crazy.
So
And what's sad, I'm going to say this again, 2 years old. What can you feed your child at 2 years old for it to even get in that statistics, to get to that level?
it
It's
just
scary.
really questions.
It's-
It makes you really question what is inside of
What's
this
going
food that we are giving our kids. And, again, people have to make that decision and where they can start making those small shifts and starting to make it themselves at home, where you are absolutely in control of the ingredients you're putting in it. And I get it. It's an effort. I don't have time for that. Well, do you have time on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon while you're doing the laundry or something?
It's time management, pretty much.
We have to figure it out. Because this matters. Because it's either you're going to pay for it now or you're going to pay for it later.
Yeah. And you don't want to see your child suffer.
And we want to try to set our kids up the best way we can for the future. And I think that's important. So I'm going to pivot a little bit and kind of talk about, I noticed that you had a live not too long ago where you were outside and you were kind of doing something like a little obstacle course with Ethan. But can we just talk a little bit about, like, what do you recommend when it comes to the space of movement? What are some of the smallest things we can do with our children just to get them more active? Because I think that also is a huge thing that we need to talk about, because I can go all day with talking about insulin and blood sugar, and
that fits right in the same category.
And what are we doing to help them, help the body absorb some of that in the bloodstream? What are you doing to kind of lessen the impact, the blow of the sugar, and getting them to move more? And that's a habit that they're building that will carry into, young adulthood, that they know, hey,
grow into that mentally.
I used to walk and do this thing every day with my mom, or 3 times a week, 2 days. And listen, it doesn't have to be rigid, guys. It's not about saying 5 days a week, they got to be outside. No, it's little changes. And I think those things matter so much, because they're going to remember it and it's going to follow them.
Yes. I'm giggling because there was a reason I did that day.
Oh, I know.
I did see what had happened was I got a call that day from school, and I said, oh no, we got to do something about this. You got to be active. Right after school, I took him. I did this. Mm-hmm. We did some drills. I know he wants to play soccer, and I made him do push-ups. Mm-hmm. Jump rope. We did some weights in Phillips Park a little bit. I'm like, no, we got to get you active. We got to get. It wasn't a punishment, but he loves doing that anyway. So that I think fitting that stuff in, even if it's once a week.
Yeah.
It really, because right now he's like, Mama, when are we going to do that again? I'm like, oh, okay.
He liked it.
He liked that. I like that.
See, and another thing I could say, because I remember I had a friend who did like, I can't remember what that game system was, where they had the like dance thing. You would get on the Wii.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And you'd have dance nights and everybody have like a little contest.
Oh my gosh.
That's an excellent example
is.
of something you can do. And you can do it as a family, and that's going to encourage more movement in the house. And I think that's great, instead of being on the devices, because that's another thing that I see a lot of, is that the screen time.
I'm going through that right now.
And that disrupts your sleep, and we're not going to get off in a tangent on that.
Yeah,
but that's
a different chapter.
That's a whole other thing that I think if we implement more family things and doing things that we're in motion.
Yeah.
And bike riding, I see this a lot. I see kids with their families outside riding bikes, particularly right now. All of those kind of things are little things that I think would be helpful. But before we wrap, I want to also talk about like pivoting on the nutrition side. So like, what are some things that can be introduced from a snack standpoint? Because we know that, chips, cookies, all those types of things are great, but lesser evil. And this is a brand of popcorn, you guys, that I love immensely. And it's made with coconut oil. It's made with a good oil.
That's a different. That's another episode right there. Stay tuned, because that's a great.
So instead of the Doritos or the Flamin' Hots, and listen, I ate them too. I was a fan, but maybe we start to pivot to some things like that that's healthier. It doesn't have all those ingredients in the back. It's got 4 ingredients top. You know what they are. You can buy them on a shelf in a grocery store, and it's better.
I'm gonna say this. My son is not allowed to eat Doritos or Takis. Like, absolutely not. Now that I will not give in. That if you, for the viewers, if you're watching this, moms, please research those.
Absolutely.
You have to.
The red dyes.
Research that. especially flaming. If they flame, just imagine if it says flaming, put a lighter to it, and you'll be so surprised.
Yeah.
And you want, absolutely, that's one thing I'm strict with. He cannot, when I see him starting eating the Doritos, I might be lenient because they're not spicy, but the Takis, the hot Cheetos, absolutely not. Parents, please research that before.
Yeah. And one other thing I'll say is on the soda.
Yes, that would be, we will
try to swap it for something less sweet. You know, if you can do water with some infused fruit, it would be great. And keep it small, guys. It doesn't have to be a big thing. But you know,
and you can
I think
keep it fun too.
Right, small swaps a week,
Put
something
fruit
very
in it.
simple, and just not perfection,
Yeah.
but just make progress.
Yes, that's
Thank
all.
you, Linda White. I think this was great today.
Thank you too.
Until next time.
Thank you. Good
Thank you,
morning,
guys.
Aurora. Thank you.